Hey everybody, Zee Garcia here, and today we're going to be collecting food and collecting victory points while avoiding the saber-toothed tiger in Honga. In this game, the players are going to be playing cards to the central board in order to collect resources. You're going to be collecting food, you're going to be collecting mammoths, you're going to be doing several different things in order to score victory points. All these things are all fueling your victory point generation, and you are simply trying to have the most points possible. Now, this is a game from HABA, the publisher, and most of their games are for kids, but they have a line of family weight games. So that's what this is targeted at. A game you can play with a mixed group, with a family. Yes, some kids can be a part of that, but the grown-ups will be engaged and interested as well. That's the idea. So let's go ahead and take a look at the game. I'll show you how it plays. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. In the game, you are trying to get the most victory points possible, and we're going to continue taking turns around and around the table until we get to a certain number of victory points. For example, with 3 players, we need to get to 35. As soon as someone does get to 35 or passes it, we finish out the round, so we all have the same number of turns, and the most points is going to be the winner. Each player is going to have in front of them a board like this with the tracking tokens, and they begin just like this. 1 fish, 1 grape, 1 mushroom, and no water. And you're going to be collecting resources from the board, as well as doing a few other things. You're also going to have a color, your mammoths. They're going to be over here in the herd, and you will be able to earn those a little bit later on. And so everything else is set up where it needs to go. The tusk over here, Honga, the saber-toothed tiger right there in the middle, special action cards right here, and then these orders that you can fulfill up here at the top, as well as a scoring track right there. You've also got a character here at the bottom of this mountain that they are going to climb up and make it to the top in order to score some bonus points as well. So here's the way the game flows, all right? And I'll come back and make a couple of different changes to it. The very first thing you do is you are going to have a card in front of you. Everybody has one of these to begin, and they show you a number of handprints, okay? It's split up into 4 different areas, always a total of 4 handprints in different combinations. So you're going to place this somewhere onto the board. So for example, I might do something like this. Once you place it, the very first thing you do is check whether you are taking care of Honga. If there's at least 1 handprint pointing at him, he's good, he's going to stay put, you're taking care of him. He's not going to come over and bother you. And then you're going to deal with the other one. So in this case, I'm going to get 2 fish, and I would move up my track on the fish by 2. And I'm going to get 1 water, move that up by 1. All right? And then I draw a new one. And that's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and change some of that so you understand the differences. Let's say I do this instead and I don't take care of Honga. Well, he's going to come over to me, whether he was in the middle or in front of someone else. He's going to come over to me and he's going to eat something. He eats whatever is closest to the top. And so in this case, he would eat 1 fish, but if I had no fish, he would eat 1 grape, and so on. And then at the beginning of each of my turns from here on out, as long as he's still here with me, then he's also going to eat. So he keeps pecking away at my resources. And the only way for me to get rid of him is either because someone else doesn't take care of him and he goes to them, or through a special action card over here in this deck. So that's how that works. Let's go ahead and break down all the areas on the board so that you understand how we are collecting goods and making victory points, all right? So the easy ones. Collect fish down here, collect grapes right there, and collect mushrooms right there. You can also collect water here, as I said, and water is a resource that's going to allow you, it's a wild resource. You can spend 2 water for any one of the other 3 things. That's its special ability. Over here, depending on how many number of hands you point, you're going to draw that many number of special cards. And they're going to do all sorts of things. I'll show you a couple of examples in a moment. Up here at the top, you've got these orders you can fulfill. And for every handprint that's pointing at this area, you can fulfill 1 of these. So for example, I could fulfill this one with 1 mushroom, 1 water, 1 fish, and I get 4 victory points. In the arrowheads here, or spearheads, you'll always see the number of victory points, so you would move up on that. And at the end of your turn, this is going to be replenished. So in this case, the next one here, 3 fish, 4 victory points. This one over here needs 1 water and 1 mammoth for 4 victory points. So how do you get mammoths? Well, that's in this area down here. If you point handprints at that, you can bring forth a mammoth onto this herd. and it's going to cost you one of each resource, remembering that you could pay 2 water for one of those things. You're going to take one, and you're going to add it to the very first spot there. If anybody else later on adds one, let's say blue after me adds one here, then mine will move ahead, and the blue one comes in behind that, and so on. And they are going to fall off the track, depending on the number of players, they will fall off the track. So let's say after that, blue brings on another one, and then this happens, and since we're only playing with 3 players, these are the 3 spots available. Let's say red brings one on after that, then the yellow one falls off, the 2 blue ones move ahead, the red one moves in, and then I get this, because it fell off that track. I put it on my board, I now have 1 mammoth, okay? So that's how you get them. You have to push them through this track. However, you wouldn't really want to do that because you wouldn't want to give me mine since you have to push me all the way through and then out. You wouldn't really want to help me. So there is this. If you are the one who controls the most mammoths in that area, or if there is a tie, such as here, then whoever is the newest, youngest mammoth, so this one would be the newest one, then they are going to break that tie. Well, whoever is controlling that is going to get that tusk, and you are going to, while you control this tusk, draw your cards from this deck instead, which is better than the normal standard deck because it always has 1 more handprint. So there will always be 5 on these in whatever combination, right? So different arrangements, but always 5. So it's stronger. They're simply better. So there you go. That's how that works. That's how you bring on the mammoths. And then lastly, you've got this area over here whenever you point handprints at that. So for example, let's say I did this, taking care of Honga. I get 1 water, so I move that up. And then I can move 2 steps up on this track. So I would take my character and move him up 2. And that would be it for my turn. I'd draw a card and be done. Whenever a character here gets all the way to the top of the mountain, let's say it's going to look like so, then we're immediately going to score some victory points. Whoever made it to the top is going to get 5 victory points, and then everybody else scores depending on where they're standing. Red would get 2, blue would get 1, and then we all reset back to the bottom. So that's another way you can get victory points if you focus on that and make sure you jump to the top, especially while the other players are still near the bottom. Then you can create a gap between those scores. So that's basically it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the special cards. Like I said, they do all sorts of things, but many of them will give you food, like that or like that. Some of them will let you add 1 hand to any of the spaces when you play it. Some of them are going to give you straight up victory points, like 2 victory points. Some of them are going to let you get rid of Honga. Like that one lets you put Honga back in the center if you feel like it's time to get rid of him. And then some of them even pull double duty, like this one lets you move 2 spaces up on the mountain or get rid of Honga. And there's a few other iterations of these cards, variations of them. So that's what they do. You're allowed to play up to 2 of those in a turn, and the ones you draw in this round cannot immediately be used in this round. You can use them from next round on. And that's basically it. Like I said, you're trying to move up the track, trying to get to a certain number depending on the number of players, and have the most points when that final round wraps up. So that should give you a pretty good idea of how the game works. Let's go ahead and go back up top, and let me tell you what I think of it. All right, so there it is. That is Honga. Let's talk about this. I'm going to start right at the top with the theme of the game. I enjoy the theme here. I think it's attractive. It's cute. It puts you in a different setting. Everything seems to feed that idea and that world, that setting. So I enjoy it. I think it's an attractive game. It's one I want to sit down to play, and everything about it thematically pulls me in. Now let's talk aesthetically. I think some of the things in the game are aesthetically amazing. For example, these boards are fantastic. As you can see, they have the recesses to hold the items, the different goods. They will not slide around, so these are extremely well put together. The artwork I also think is fantastic. All the wooden chunky bits are great. My only negative here, which was not quite enough to sway this down from a thumbs up to a neutral rating, is the cards. The cards are not cards. They're sort of cardboard little planks, and they're fairly thin cardboard. And it makes sense to me in some of their kids' games. how there would not be cards. These things would be little planks of cardboard because kids are going to be a little bit rougher with these things. But in this one, I wish they would have just gone with actual cards. Some nice linen finish cards, would have shuffled better, would have just done the exact same job without the feel these have, which is not pleasurable to shuffle. It's not great to flip one over from the deck and replace one of the ones that's been taken. So I don't like the cards in the game. Replayability, right down the middle for me. I think the game has, while it has some interesting things going on, you kind of do end up doing the same things from game to game. That's not to say there aren't interesting things you can pursue. I'll talk about that in tactics. But as far as the actual session to session, I don't think it's so high that you're going to want to play this necessarily every other day. I still think it's good, and I think it's a good family game that maybe you'll pull out, once a month, once every couple months, and you're going to have a good time with it. But the replayability just isn't that high. The game length is great. The game is going to give you a full experience without outstaying its welcome. I like that the end goal changes so that the play experience stays about the same length depending on the number of players. So thumbs up there. Ease of play. This is good for the target audience that they are aiming it at. I think it's a solid family weight game. I think there is enough going on that you're going to feel you have choices and interesting tactics. But it's not so complicated that you're going to get bogged down. And it's not so simple that it will be very, very easy to dismiss after a single play. At least in my opinion, I think it's they nail the family weight feel for what they're going for. And then lastly, like I said, tactics and strategy. Really fun stuff here. There's a few things you can pursue. The mammoth strategy is interesting. The idea of controlling that area so that you can draw better cards. I like that a lot. I think it's very clever. I like the idea of Honga. I think that comes across very well. That you can appease that character, make sure you don't get them, but every now and then in the game when you do take that character and you've already got them, then you can ignore playing to the center, which means you'll be achieving more things just at the cost of, that sort of upkeep of one food every time you're up. And I think that actually works really well. It's an interesting give and take, but it's certainly it's not so punishing that you will have that sort of hanging over you. And if you do take the character, then you're in for a world of hurt. I don't think that's true. I like the fact that it is a tactical choice to take Honga, and then you can just not pay attention to the center for a while and get a lot done, I like that quite a bit. So overall, I do enjoy the game. Again, my issues are the cardboard cards don't feel great. And I do wish, and this is something else in the replayability realm, I do wish there was some endgame scoring in the game. I don't like that all the scoring is just right out there. It'd be nice if after someone crosses that threshold and we've finished, there would be something else to reveal. A little something extra, some hidden scoring, something. That'd be nice, and that's not part of it. So that's something I would have liked to have seen. But overall, it's a fun game, great family weight game. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. So this is going to get a seal of approval from me. I do enjoy it. I like the package overall very much, and it's a clever game. I like the mechanisms. I like the way the game flows. I love the wooden bits, all of that stuff. So again, seal of approval from me. I certainly recommend it if you're looking for a new family game that the kids are going to get into as well. This is a good one. So there you go. I'm Zee Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.